A special guest joining us in studio this morning, Jillian Edwards, a runner who is doing a coast to coast to coast
Three
run.
coasts?
Well, two coasts. Anyway, let's ask her. Welcome to the studio, Jillian. Nice to have you in this morning.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Welcome to our country as well, Jillian. I know you've come from the United States, and how long have you been in New Zealand for?
I've been in New Zealand for 6 months, so
Okay.
not long. Yeah.
And before Bjorn mentioned you're doing coast to coast to coast. Before we get to the detail about why you're here, 6 months in, something I like to ask visitors to our country is about what they find kind of strange about the local people, because especially with Americans, there's some people find it weird that there's so many KFCs here. Some people find it weird that we hang up washing on a clothes horse. So what have you found weird in your 6 months here so far?
I think the weirdest thing that I found is that Kiwis can't do anything alone. They always need like a buddy to go ask a question or order food. Like, it's always a group activity. I don't know if it's just the people I know, but it was always there's a lack of confidence that you're we need somebody to come along with me.
Yeah, I'm a group person. I like to do things rather than solo.
I can do the solo thing. Yeah, but okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, in New Zealand we call them loners. We have a name for them. People that do stuff by themselves.
Do you like our place already, though?
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
New Zealand's beautiful and the people are incredible. And I actually love that everyone wants to do things together and that there's not this hyper independent culture. It's like a community of people together. And
I was going to say there's a real community feel here in this country. It gets better if you go down country as well, Auckland now. Yeah.
So what brought you to New Zealand? You're from Michigan, is that right, in the States?
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan and I was working remotely for a company here and a position opened up for me to be in person, and I thought New Zealand was a really beautiful place and wanted to explore it. So I took a job here, and that's the reason I ended up.
Oh, so you're working remote?
I was, yeah.
And
now I'm in person here.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
So this running thing, and we'll get to the details on the coast to coast to coast, but is this you're a runner? You got a background in running? Because this could be quite a big challenge.
I do have a background in running. So I ran track in uni. So I was a 400, 200 meter sprinter.
Whoa, we were just talking about athletics yesterday morning.
Now coast to coast, I'm guessing, is going to be outside of that sort of sprinting distance.
It's just a few extra meters on there.
Yeah.
But after I finished that, I ended up running 100 miles or 160 Ks through the mountains out in Virginia, so the Appalachian Mountains. That was my last big effort. Yeah.
Flip, what made you want to do that? Because that's an odd thing to get into, super painful long distance running.
I think there's two reasons. The first is my sister got into it and had me on the crew and pacing her on it. And I saw the culture around ultra was so supportive and kind, and you could just go out in nature and have fun. Whereas I came from track, which was so time-based and a lot of pressure on how you were performing. Whereas with trail running, you could just go out and have fun. And I really love that. And then the second is that when I was out on these runs and the further I'd go, the more time I had to spend with God and the more interactions I feel like I've had with him. And it's really become an opportunity for me to slow down and just be in his presence. And
Yeah, we read your bio. Running is where you meet God and you feel his presence. Yeah. So on that note, about your faith and your journey in Christ, as a young person going through college, when did it all start for you?
I grew up Christian. So I came to my faith whenever I was 9 years old is when I got baptized. But my family has always pushed me towards God, and I've grown up in the church. But I think whenever I really came into my own faith and found my true trust was in uni, being able to just be independent and not rely on my family for my faith, but rely on myself to connect with God and spend time and dedicate my life to him, that's really whenever it came about.
I really like that you're using running for this, right? And seeing people kind of use their talents or skills or what they're passionate about to bring glory to God in some way. There's a really famous runner called Eric Liddell. There's a movie, Chariots of Fire. Iconic music. Everyone
Very
knows
iconic.
it. He has a famous quote when he says, "When I run, I feel God's pleasure." And he kind of had this where he was torn about sort of being called to be a missionary, but then he also felt like he was called to just be a runner. And he went to the Olympics, and like he was an amazing runner. And it was like there's this traditional call on people's life maybe to do something that seems godly from the outside, like, I don't know, go on a mission or something like that. But he was like, but I feel like I'm made to run. And that's what God made me for. And, you know, he went after that. And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like you got a similar kind of story.
I feel like I do have a very similar story in that I feel like I don't have the traditional talents of what you might consider those spiritual gifts, but I do have running, and I think of Esther being like, perhaps this is the moment you were created for, and I'm like, okay, well, perhaps this is the moment I'm created for, to run across New Zealand and help women in crisis, and that's kind of where I see it connecting. Is, this is the moment I'm created for, even though it's not a traditional way to glorify God.
Well, let's talk a little bit about it. So coast to coast to coast is the challenge that you're going to do. Now, New Zealand, when I think about it, if you were running top to bottom or bottom to top, it's probably a pretty specific distance that you were going to do. Coast to coast, New Zealand's all kinds of shapes and widths. So what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
And which coasts are you running from to where?
Absolutely. So it's Wynyard Quarter to Whatapu Beach. Whatapu Beach back to Wynyard Quarter, which is a total of around 96 Ks.
Wow.
Okay. You probably thought, I'm not sure of this, you know, being in America, maybe had this idea that you can do this in New Zealand because we're just a dot and you're only like 6 people living in this country. But you managed to figure that out. Okay, so, and you're doing it for a purpose, right? You're linked to a specific charity that you're doing this for. Why did you do this? And what's the charity?
Why I did it was because I wanted to have purpose with everything I do. I didn't want to just run a run. And so whenever I was thinking about it, I was like, if I'm going to take all the time and resources and people that it takes to run an ultramarathon, because there's a whole crew with me of pacers and it takes a lot of investment, I wanted to have purpose with every step. And I got connected with UN Women New Zealand, which supports women in crisis. So anytime women experience violent situations, they're able to provide aid and support to help them get out of those situations.
How many people are involved with supporting you run 96Ks? Because I'm sure you need a team fueling you. What do you do with blisters?
Yeah.
What do you do when you, like, do you have to have pep talks at certain points where you're like, you know what, stuff this. This is the dumbest decision I've ever made. I'm not walking another step. Like, do you have to have like a coach who could like mentally help you get through it?
Mentally, I think I see no other option than finishing. So for me, I'm just like, okay, it hurts. It's terrible. We just keep going.
Yeah.
But physically, I need some help because, yes, you get blisters and you need like actual food along the run. Like I'll just be out there eating a sandwich while I'm running and I need somebody to make it. So I have 8 people crewing with me. So
8 sandwich makers.
8 sandwich makers. It'll be half split sandwich makers and half split people running with me there's a few dangerous road sections that I'll need a crew of people to make sure I don't get
Yeah. You want to make it back fine.
Do you have any banana holders?
no banana holders.
You need that.
You gotta get that potassium in there.
Turns out I need 9 people. A minute. Anybody available?
One more. There's an opening. If anyone out there is a qualified banana holder, maybe Jillian will get you on the squad. Well, this is exciting. How long does it take to run? I mean, I guess you probably don't exactly know, but what sort of estimate are you thinking for 96 Ks?
For 96 Ks, we're hoping for a 15-hour finish time.
Oh, God bless you, Jillian. I know.
Some people aren't even awake for 15 hours in a day, let alone running.
When do you do all this? And how can people get in touch and donate to the cause? Because you want to raise, how much do you want to raise?
My goal is to raise $10,000 for women in crisis.
Okay, all right. Have you started that yet?
I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
We're almost at the $1,000 mark.
Oh,
which is really
congratulations.
exciting.
Okay. Oh, and so when does it start?
This starts, I run March 29th, so 2 weeks, which is crazy that's so close. And then how you can get involved, you can find me on Instagram, which is j.e.edwards. And the link in my bio leads you to the UN Women's site. Or you could just head straight to UN Women, the website, and then go to Jillian Edwards. I have my own page, and you can find Project Coast to Coast to Coast. There's a little donate section.
Very good.
Well, all support would be greatly appreciated. And if it's something you're passionate about, maybe you're a runner, maybe you care about the issues that face women around the world, and that sort of tugs at your heart, that you're like, hey, I'd love to support. We'll try and get a link up on our Instagram. Tab has given me the nod. So that'll happen shortly. If people do want to click through and make a donation. But hey, we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And hope it goes really, really well in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Before you go, what's your time for 200?
The time for 200 is it's 19 seconds.
Oh my gosh. 200 meters.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay,
Some people are just
you're-
way too talented, bro.
That's great.
Way too talented. Thank you, Jillian.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers. This is John Reddick, No Fear. 23 away from 9. You got the morning wake up.